to the September 8th meeting of the Public Safety Legal Administration Committee. I am Andrea Boone, chair of this committee. To my right is the Honorable Mary Norwood. To my left is the Honorable Ishay Collins and the Honorable Vice Chair Dustin Hillis. Can we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by the Honorable Mary Norwood, and I will second that. Please open the vote.
All council members need to sign in first. Norwood. Vote is open. Vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays. The agenda has been adopted.
Can we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Moved by the Honorable Ishay Collins, seconded by the Honorable Vice Chair Dustin Hillis. Please open the vote.
One moment. Vote is open. Vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays. The minutes have been approved.
This brings us to our public comment portion of the agenda. When your name is called, please approach the podium. Our first speaker will be Brittany Patrice Glover of the Walk This Way Foundation, LLC. Please come to the mic. One second.
Okay.
Please proceed.
All right, before I speak, I'd like to pass this out, make sure each one of the council members receive one. And so what you're receiving is a copy of the reward flyer. I've submitted this before. My daughter, Brittany Patrice Glover, was killed September 19, 2022 on Donald Lee Hollowell Parkway in front of the bonfire. She was leaving the bonfire establishment. And for the last, it will be 3 years, September 19th, I have not gotten a response. And in addition to that, I just want to follow up on what the Department of Transportation and Public Safety is doing to make sure the constituents, not only in that district, but in Fulton County, is being safe. What is being done to make it more pedestrian friendly? I had asked if they would put in a traffic light, traffic cameras, because if Donald Lee Hollowell Parkway is the 5th deadliest street in Fulton County, why isn't there more safety measures? My daughter, I guarantee you, Brittany Patrice Glover, did not come to Atlanta, Georgia to die. She came here to work. She was here 2 days before her life was taken. And for the last 3 years, I've been coming, standing before council, whoever would listen to me, to give me some answers about what's going to be done to, I can't bring Brittany back, but what's going to be done to protect those that's coming behind Brittany. There are still constituents that live in that neighborhood. And so we need more crosswalks. That's part of public safety, right? And are anybody on council aware that October is Pedestrian Safety and Awareness Month? And what type of campaign on pedestrian safety are we doing? We will be here October 11th promoting pedestrian safety and awareness. We'll be at the King Center all day. You guys, anybody that's on the board is welcome to come and speak and talk about what public safety is doing to help make sure that the constituents in any district is safer, because we do have that right to have safer streets. And so anybody can answer and tell me at least one thing that I asked for that's being done and implemented, because I don't want Brittany's death to be in vain. And so anybody can answer.
Ma'am, we will have someone from the Atlanta Department of Transportation get in touch with you. We do have your information.
Yes,
The Honorable Dustin Hillis.
Yes, he, from the very first time when my daughter was killed, I came to City Council because I didn't have a response from anybody else. I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't have anybody responding to me, even Mayor Dickens. Yes.
We'll hear from Mr. Hillis now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming, and
again, sorry for Brittany's passing. It's been a few years now, but just wanted to let you know that number one, of overall pedestrian, or actually transportation safety in the city, I enacted legislation, I believe last year, 2024, that established the city's first fatal crash review commission. And so myself and 2 other council members sat on that committee. ATL DOT is on that committee. We have a member from GDOT on that committee, as well as APD. Those meetings meet quarterly, and they look at every fatal crash that has happened that previous quarter, and they send out recommendations to ATL DOT or GDOT to be implemented. And so, and then specific to Donnelly Hollowell, that has been on my attention for many years, since well before I even became a council member. Now this happened just outside of District 9. This is in District 3 in Councilmember Amos's district, but it's very close to District 9. But I know I worked and pushed GDOT to do those improvements. And unfortunately, they didn't run them all the way to Northside Drive like they should have. They stopped them at the Bankhead MARTA station, which is just west of where Brittany was killed, but then ended them at H.E. Homes. Those do seem to be helping, and I wish they would look further inside of the city, around the area that Brittany was killed. But
is the speed limit still 35?
As I'm sure you know, all of Donnelly Hollowell Parkway is actually a state route. So anything that has to get implemented on that route has to be done and go through GDOT. So I'd urge you to reach out to them as well. I don't know if you have contacts there, but if you send me you send me an email, I'll get you some contacts that should be responsive at GDOT for you.
And one last question. How do I, as an impacted family, be a part of that committee? I think some representation from impacted families should be a part of those committee meetings, giving insight to whatever considerations that might be brought up. Because if we're don't have a seat at the table, we will continue to get what we're getting, and that's nothing.
Yeah, so those meetings, they do have public comment as well. They happen, most of them happen right here in this room. So when you send me that email, I'll make sure the next one has been set. I don't recall the date. I don't have it in front of me, but I will make sure you get an invite to that.
But
see you there.
Yes, sir. I understand having a comment, but I mean actively involved to help make some decisions help make decisions that impact our communities where we live. As constituents, we should have a seat at that table.
Yeah, so I will talk to the fellow board members. All of the seats are currently filled. There is one council appointee, and that is from a pedestrian safety group.
Yes.
So that position is filled, but I will talk to the fellow committee members.
But I would like to go on record to say that I want to be a part of that committee.
Adding to that committee.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your time. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Shaka Freeman.
Good evening, council members. How you doing, Ms. Boone? Yeah, I came here, Shaka Freeman. First, before I start, shout out to Donna Dobbs, Shakita, I love you. Yeah, I'm here to talk about the police. I've exposed that they're around here working extra jobs in private businesses, but their procedures said that they can't enforce the rules of private businesses. So that's fraud. They're illegally collecting funds from Walmart, bars, and things of that nature. So the service you're providing that you're getting paid time and a half is called APD.SOP.2060, extra job rules. That money you're doing, the officers are, the officers are also out here using their uniform to mentally manipulate women out here. So you getting extra fund, an extra 30K, you out here tricking that money on these women out in the streets and harassing black men in public places. So these black officers are acting super weird around the college area and Chick-fil-A, Walmart, things of that nature. That I have a case, number 25CR002072F. I was charged with trespassing in Walmart, ML King, your area, Byron. I've emailed you and other council members about what's going on, the harassment, the constant harassment I receive. They're constantly stalking me, slowly driving past me by Boone and Cooks Park where I live, things of that nature. My 4th arrest within maybe a year and a half, disorderly conduct type situations, most of the time, freedom of speech. So my case is trespassing. They enforce the rules of a private business. I was provoked. to get trespassed by APD, not Walmart. I was waiting on my Uber when an officer was doing an obscene, deviant dance behind me, swinging his hips from left to right. He even stated it in the police report. And so I spoke up while I'm waiting on my Uber after I purchased my groceries, and I told him to stop doing it. So he wouldn't do it. He kept smiling, and so that's where I got trespassed for and provoked for speaking up against Armstead Salters III, his bitch ass. He's swinging his hips left to right, sexual harassing women.
But no cursing.
Yes, ma'am.
No cursing.
I apologize. So yeah, that's why I'm in this case for 9/9. I got tased by the same officer Easter Sunday, claiming I'm trespassing Walmart when I wasn't trespassed. So that means that's damages I get paid. So you mad and stalking me about that? You paid the college students $1 million apiece for getting tased during protesting. So that's automatic. I get paid. So this is the behavior these officers are doing. So they're around here illegally working in private businesses and harassing black men in those businesses. You cannot enforce the rules of private businesses. So what company would want to pay an officer to serve as security guard when he can't enforce the rules of the business? So that's fraud. Supervisors have to sign all this. So you do an audit on all these extra jobs and the $35K a year these guys are making for doing things that they're supposed to do for free. For free. So let's get an audit on these supervisors who's signing off and extorting these private businesses and preying on their insecurities about safety. Because that's all you have to do. You'll see these officers lurking around. Then you can't enforce the rules of a business. So then you lurking and you harassing women and harassing black men.
Shaka, your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Next speaker. We have been joined by the Honorable Michael Julian Bond and the Honorable Byron D. Amos. Reverend Washington. You didn't ask a question. You didn't ask a question, Shaka. But you know how to reach me. Okay. We're not ignoring you, Shaka. We're not ignoring you. But this is just public comment. You didn't ask to go back and forth. Okay. Chief, do we have anyone that could speak with him outside? Okay, thank you. Shaka, you're in good luck today. You have the Chief of Police here, Chief Shearbaum. Reverend Washington, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Boone. Today I stand before you making this verbal observation, this case that I have cried adamantly about brings and I seek redress. After the Atlanta Citizen Review Board sustained my complaint against David Holloman, the Atlanta Citizen Review Board had limitations on complaints that they investigated. The interesting question today, my brothers and sisters on City Council, was that the actions also called for Jacqueline Benton to be cited. Why I bring that up today is because I found out many years later, after the case was going on, that I had experienced many different harassment by APD officers. Did not know that this was all a quest to retaliate against me because I had filed a complaint, as I spoke to Mr. Reed, about the 911 dispatchers. And it was brought out that the 911 dispatcher, Jacqueline Benton, failed to identify to Officer Holloman who the actual suspect that he was looking for. In addition, that led to my false imprisonment and excessive force. That's also a notable story that's out on Google. The Atlanta Citizen Review Board reprimands an officer for false imprisonment. Mr. Reed and Councilmember Bond and Councilmember Amos, if Mr. Muhammad did that, he would be arrested on site. False imprisonment, Ms. Norwood. APD officers retaliated against me and lied into agencies, to public authority, and also to civilians that they were doing this because I committed a criminal intent. as I brought about last week, the last time I was here, the following week, rather, I spoke to Ms. Amber Robertson that the funeral division for the state of Florida approved my application to own a funeral home. You had to go through the Homeland Security for that fact. Not what you said to civilians and are saying to the public and to agencies alike that you were after me because I committed a crime. When do you create a crime and call it probable cause and reasonable suspicion and then say that it was the civilian that committed the crime? I think we have to be careful about those actions. However, today I make this verbal contention that I am speaking to an attorney and we are seeking redress on this account since the Atlanta Citizen Review Board did not have the proper information to move forward on criminal intent.
Thank you. Next speaker, Brother Muhammad.
I say, Mr. Mayor, Brother Anthony Muhammad, talk about we had police to come to my home. I've been living in my home for over 30 years. And since COVID, we've had new residents come in our house and they have come in our neighborhood and they don't want to provide by the ordinances that we have available in the city of Atlanta and Fulton County. Recently, I had an officer come out due to a person, dogs being loose. And they came into my home and they attacked, but I was able to keep them from biting me. That was just recent on the last Wednesday. But prior to that, Ms. Boone, I think I sent you all an email, all members of the committee of council, even you, Mr. Amos, but you addressed it. And I had found out that we had an officer come out also about a problem with the cars being parked on the sidewalk. Now you see, the car is directly parked on the sidewalk as y'all have in the package I gave you. Also, this picture here, what really makes me angry, and I talked with the chief of our police about that, Major Antonio Clay. The officer came out, Officer Norman said that he don't know if the car really is blocking the sidewalk because it's off the street. But we got the ordinances in law. And as I gave you the pictures, you saw it very clearly. Or even I got pictures here that show it. It's two cars they use and block the sidewalk. Now let me say this. They got the dogs that continue to come out, or even this morning before I come here this morning, the man was walking out with the dogs to his car. But let's say what Major Clay said, what really makes me angry. Major Clay said, Mayor Dickens, yes, I talked to your neighbor at 4639, and the dogs, German Shepherd, two of them, they look like they well trained. I quote him. Now the dogs didn't have a leash on them when they were talking to him. And then you have an officer come out there and say, I don't know if I can talk about the car because the car is off the street. As you see the picture, but I need to call Major Clay. Now, if you're going to have $100 million been given to the training center to build and have these people to go and learn how to become a police, and you can't teach them about the laws of the ordinance and those that is more conducive to the residents, how is that going to help us when we have problems with these residents? I shouldn't have to be running around, Ms. Boone, asking you, asking Ms. Overstreet, can you help me? Help me. I got grandchildren. And all with that being said, I hope y'all look at the paperwork I gave you. And I talked with the chief. And I hope I don't have to come down here and talk with y'all no more.
Yes, I am very concerned about the dogs, and you were being told to dial 911. Well, at that point, it might be too late. dogs can be very vicious. So I definitely want to work with you on that issue. I had that issue over in the Adamsville community and Peyton Road before, so I'll get with you on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
But
you.
like I said, you need to deal with Major Antonio Clay. If he's a major, like I talked to the captain
Yes.
of the
Yes.
chief of the police, you don't need to have one in that position.
Okay.
Mayor,
Next-
Matriarch Hotel, Assalamu alaikum. I say.
We have been joined by the Honorable Antonio Lewis. Our next speaker is Ms. Jaleesa Anderson.
Good evening, Councilman. I'm Julie Sanderson. I was here on September the 2nd, and I wanted to return to finish what I was saying. I wanted to thank my mom for supporting me and giving me some minutes, and I want to thank Antonio Lewis for the help that he gave last week, and I want to thank former Mayor Shirley Franklin for receiving my letter to Mayor Andre Dickinson and turning it over to him because I feel as if it's being held. I'm a former employee from the City of Atlanta Municipal Court. I was wrongfully terminated August 6th due to me birthing a child and being a whistleblower. Since I was the whistleblower, I reported that Officer Michael Dixon sexually harassed me. I reported that Shalina Henderson discharged a weapon, which was a taser, in data management. She was suspended for 30 days, brought back to work. I reported the retaliation from administration staff to management. I was placed twice on administrative leave with pay in 2024 and both times 2024. I came back January 10th, 2025. Administrative staff, management was terminated. Some was removed from HR. I came back under Mike Dawson. Everything was fine. By the way, Mike Dawson was a great manager. DeAndre Moore, Giovanni Hicks, Pamela Butts, and Rodney Evans wrongfully terminated me on August 8th. It's not much I can get in. Speaking for 6 minutes is a lot that I could say, but they wrongfully terminated me due to me being a whistleblower. I have a recording of that, and I was due to my doctor's appointment that I had to leave early for birthing my child. Not only that, he, Mr. Moore, wrongfully terminated me. He gloated about it on August 8th. A lot of my peers from the 2nd floor to the 4th floor overheard him, Officer James Jones, Officer Michael Dixon, and Officer Derek Toomer, and there was celebrating my wrongful termination. I was going to let this issue go until they told me they were celebrating, so it's personal with me now. So I reached out to HR. I contacted the chief of police. I contacted APD professional standards. I filed a complaint, and I haven't heard anything back other than I have to wait 180 days for these officers to hear something back regarding my complaint. Mr. Moore placed me on a no hire list, but wasn't clear to Jason Ingram on why I was terminated. I have Ms. Hicks telling me I'm terminated for the investigation that took place last year. Then she stated that, well, you are at will, we're at will city, we just want to let you go. I haven't heard anything back from HR. It's like they are ignoring me. I met with Mr. Blackburn, and it's like he disappeared. Haven't heard anything back from him. Haven't received the email. They were not respectful enough to even email me back to give me an update on what I'm requesting for to be accommodated because the termination was wrong. After several of my colleagues overheard DeAndre Moore stating he's a new sheriff in town, being that I told Mr. Evans, confided in Mr. Evans over something that was very confidential, and it wasn't serious. I was looking to be removed from municipal court and placed elsewhere around the city. He was heard gloating about it through several of my peers, and those that are ignoring me, from my emails to phone calls, ignoring city council, if it wasn't for me, they wouldn't be in the position they're in now. And I wanted to let those ones know, Commissioner Blackburn, Jennifer Hicks, Kimberly Finley, Tanisha Billingsley, Rodney Evans, Judge Ward, DeAndre Moore, Giovanni Hicks, Pamela Butts, and Officer James Jones would not be either promoted or hired in their position if I wasn't a whistleblower last year. And speaking on Ms. Billingsley, who is the director of HR, she did not want to speak with me. She asked me via email, how did I find out where she was when she signed off on my termination letter? It's not much I have a lot to say, but I can't get it out in 6 minutes. It's just the fact that they refuse to acknowledge my letter. They're not even here to face me. And that's Judge Ward and that's DeAndre Moore. They're not even here to face me. And I don't believe that Judge Ward I don't believe he know that DeAndre Moore is walking around abusing his authority. But he didn't respond to my email either. I just want to let City Council know who they have still left that is defaming my character in HR, and that's Christy Johnson and Christy Gaboro. Christy Gaboro told the third-party investigators that had to be brought on by Jason Ingram last year, after she was found at fault for lying on me in her meeting, she stated that I aggressively pushed her into the table, which brushed her breast up on the table. Little did she know I was recording. I have that meeting on video, and this to show City Council and if HR is listening and watching it, who they have still in HR, who employees have to put in their trust to have critical board make a decision of their employment. The third-party investigator, he was hired by the city to make me out to be the bad person. I was the aggressor, but the aggressor was the only one called back to work after being placed on paid administrative leave. I want to request that DeAndre Moore, Rodney Evans, Giovanni Hicks, Pamela Butts be terminated. It's unfair, and I want to know why I haven't heard anything back from HR.
So we do have HR here to speak with you.
Who?
Ms. Kimberly Finley is here now, if you'd like to speak with her.
Oh, they just popped up just like Jason Ingram popped up last week when I came?
But did you want to speak with her?
Yeah, I can speak with her.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Ms. Henri Jordan.
Giving out to the Spirit of God to everyone that's here. For God commanded, saying, honor thy father and mother. He that curses father and mother, let him die the death. Matthew 15:4. Parents are to be honored, but never should their wishes or words become a rival or substitute for the will of God. God says to obey your parents is the reason to have long life. And I will bless them that bless thee, and I will curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. Genesis 12, chapter 3rd verse. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee, in order that in you all the nations of the earth shall be blessed. The word of God is our deliverance plan. And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except to be for fornication, and shall marry another, commit adultery. And whoso marries her which is put away does commit adultery. St. Matthew 19, chapter 9th verse. He is an author of divorce. Man is its originator. James Griff could not divorce his wife for fornication because he committed fornication. Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou wast not spoiled, and didst treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. Isaiah 33rd chapter, 1st verse. Isaiah's final woe on Israel and Judah looks beyond the coming Assyrian invasion to the ultimate devastation that will come on the land in the final days. I had a vision the enemy took over America and wanted me to be over America. But I said, God, should I? Because they asked to practice bondage. Because you ask to practice bondage, bondage shall come upon you. Whatever you sow, you're going to reap it. It's a promise from the word of God. And God tells to warn the people of their sin that will lead to destruction. And I got to stand for Jesus also in this body for what I've done. But I want to do right because I want to receive right. But we living on borrowed time given to us by God to do his will, not our own will, because we can't save ourselves like Christ can. I know I can't. I need his help. I need to stand for it. Thank you.
Next speaker, Helen Williams.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Helen Delilah Williams. I a resident of Vine City Station. I've been in the community 30 plus years. I want to start first. I have several things, and I'm going to try to do it very quickly. Ms. Boone, I tried to speak with you one day to share some information with you. I didn't want to do it this way, so I'm going to do it this way. Thank you to Mr. Dozier. In front of Lincoln's Cemetery, there's a shopping plaza, and they were dumping tires there. And I wanted to come and speak with you to share with you that Mitchell Brothers was bringing more life to this community and that plaza, and that we would need help to stop getting these tires dumped on the property. Thanks to Mr. Dozier, he heard my cry, and the Mitchell Brothers are now in that plaza, and there's life. And that's what I wanted to share with you, and that was something positive. I'm here to stand with you to speak about MARTA. I've worked for MARTA 30 plus years, and our communities, I don't want to make it personal, but our communities are hurting for MARTA. They have not yet to answer to the community needs. They seem to not put the buses out enough in order for the individuals to move around the communities even more. They're out there, but who needs to wait on a bus 45 minutes? The trains run about 10 to 12 to 15 minutes, their headway. However, as we move around and trying to get to one place to another, we need that headway to decrease to a good time frame. North-South line runs very frequently because they want the airport to be serviced. But yet you have regular individuals who are just trying to get to their common jobs, and we need help with the buses. MARTA needs your support, and they just appointed a new CEO, Mr. Hunt, so therefore his plate is already full. I concur with Mayor Dickens. I concur that we need another light rail to go along with the transit that we have in the city. Most people who come to the city from other locations, they are professional trained riders. We don't offer that here. We don't have enough spaces and places where the trains go in order to adhere to the communities. So with what Mr. Dickens is proposing, I ask that any community leader, any community individual that supports their community, come down here or get your communities on board on the future of the city. Thank you.
Thank you. And if there are no objections from the body, we will take our legislative items first. Mr. Overton, please proceed.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, that brings us to our consent agenda. We'll first need to take action on our claims.
Can we have a motion to approve the favorable claims? Moved by the Honorable Antonio Lewis, seconded by the Honorable Vice Chair Dustin Hillis. Please open the vote.
Vote is open. Vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays. The claims have been approved.
Can we have a motion to adverse the unfavorable claims? Moved by the Honorable Vice Chair Dustin Hillis, seconded by the Honorable Antonio Lewis. Please open the vote.
Vote is open. Vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays. These claims have been adversed. Madam Chair, this brings us to our ordinances for first reading, for which we have one. Starting with item number 1, this is 25-01516, an ordinance by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee to waive Section 2-383H1 of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances to authorize the settlement of all claims against the defendants in the case of Palmieri v. Collins McGee et al., civil action file number 22EV002391, pending in the State Court of Fulton County in the amount of $20,000.00, authorizing the settlement amount to be charged to and paid from account numbers listed herein and for other purposes. This brings us to our regular agenda, starting with our resolutions and item number 2. This is 25R3888, a resolution by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to exercise the first renewal option for a cooperative purchasing agreement for a contract number listed herein for inmate pharmacy services utilizing the Purchasing Solutions Alliance, contract number 221-208, on behalf of the Department of Corrections in an amount not to exceed $120,000.00 annually, and execute the First Amendment to the agreement to clarify the terms for the cooperative purchasing agreement to align with the extension of the initial PSA contract. All contract work will be charged to and paid from account numbers listed herein and for other purposes.
Move approval. Seconded by the Honorable Byron D. Amos.
Vote is open. Vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. The item is favorable. Madam Chair, if there are no objections, but we take items 3 through 7 together as a block.
Please proceed.
Item number 3, 25R3889, a resolution by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee authorizing the settlement of all claims against defendant City of Atlanta and the claim of Ashley Goodyear v. City of Atlanta, civil action file number 23EV004820, pending in the State Court of Fulton County in the amount of $110,000.00, authorizing the settlement amount to be charged to and paid from account numbers listed herein and for other purposes. Item number 4, 25R3890, a resolution by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee authorizing the settlement of all claims against the City of Atlanta in the case of Barry Amos v. City of Atlanta, Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, charge of discrimination, charge number 410-2023-05742, in the amount of $8,000.00, authorizing the settlement amount to be charged to and paid from account numbers listed herein and for other purposes. Item number 5 is 25R3891, a resolution by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee authorizing the settlement of all claims against the defendant City of Atlanta in the case of Dexter Bridges v. City of Atlanta, civil action file number 24CV003444, pending in the Superior Court of Fulton County, in the amount of $70,000.00, authorizing the settlement amount to be charged to and paid from account numbers listed herein and for other purposes. Item number 6, 25R3892, a resolution by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee authorizing the settlement of all claims against the City of Atlanta in the case of Linda Pickle v. City of Atlanta, civil action file number 23EV006383, pending in the State Court in Fulton County, State of Georgia, in the amount of $25,500.00. This authorizing the settlement amount to be charged to and paid from account numbers listed herein and for other purposes. And finally, item number 7, 25R3893, a resolution by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee authorizing the settlement of all claims against the defendant City of Atlanta in the case of Johannes Maru and Hiwat Adain Tamer v. City of Atlanta, civil action file number 24EV004821, pending in the State Court of Fulton County in the amount of $80,000.00, authorizing the settlement amount to be charged to and paid from account numbers listed herein and for other purposes.
I will make a motion to approve these items. Seconded by the Honorable Ishe Collins. Please open the vote.
Vote is open. Vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. The items are favorable. Madam Chair, we have nothing coming off of held today, but we do have, circle back to the item number 1 on our agenda under communications. This is item number 125C0107, a communication from Donald T. Palovi, CPA, Chair of the Audit Committee, submitting the performance audit report of Atlanta Police Department body-worn cameras follow-up. I believe the Audit Department does have a short presentation they would like to give on this item.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Lyndon Kuhn. I'm the senior performance auditor who worked on this audit under the supervision of Dwayne Braithwaite and Christopher Armstead. I will be presenting the work performed and the results of our follow-up performance audit on the Atlanta Police Department's body-worn cameras program. This is our second audit of the program. We first audited the police's body-worn cameras program in 2018 and focused on the department's initial rollout of the cameras between November 2016 and June 2018. This follow-up audit covers activity from January through December 2024. Thank you. Our 2018 audit found gaps in officers complying with police's body-worn camera policies and procedures, and we made 16 recommendations focused on improving policies, establishing review processes, and monitoring compliance. This follow-up audit assessed whether compliance with the department's policies and procedures has improved since our 2018 audit, and whether the department implemented the previous audit's recommendations. In our 2018 audit, police had rolled out cameras to all zone officers and some special programs. Since then, the department now requires all staff ranked as lieutenants and lower in all of its special programs and tactical units to use body-worn cameras. Exhibit 2 here on the right shows the capabilities of the city's current body-worn camera model. Axon, the city's body-worn camera contractor, has improved camera capture since 2018 with longer battery life, a wider lens, a display screen, and more microphones. The new camera technology has also helped improve video capture by automatically activating cameras within a certain radius whenever an officer unholsters their firearm or a squad car's emergency lights and sirens go on. These automatically activate cameras of all officers on the scene within a 30-foot radius. This slide shows Exhibit 3 from our report. As of our 2018 audit, officers had uploaded nearly 500,000 videos over 18 months, and the top category was for videos where officers were conducting police business but did not have to enforce the law. Exhibit 3 shows that now officers record over 78,000 videos per month. Officers recorded 753,453 videos within the first 10 months of 2024. Nearly 2/3 of these videos were categorized as investigations. This illustrates the broader use of the body-worn cameras as the program has matured. Overall, we found that the police department had significantly improved their body-worn camera program, although some risks do still remain. This slide shows an overview of our findings. During this audit, we found that most dispatch calls had corresponding body-worn camera video, that police improved camera activation and deactivation since the 2018 audit, but compliance is still inconsistent, that police extended the minimum time that videos are retained, which mitigates many risks of miscategorization. However, the need for clear guidance around access restricted categories remains. Supervisor reviews were incomplete, and the body-worn camera compliance team did not document its reviews. And lastly, most recommendations from our previous audit were either implemented as suggested or the department had otherwise mitigated the risk that the recommendation was intended to address. So in our previous 2018 audit, we found that about 33% of dispatch calls had body-worn camera video. In this current audit, from January to December 2024, the department improved compliance by over 50 percentage points. It had videos for 88% of calls that, according to its policies and procedures, would require video. Since 2018, police have also improved camera activation and deactivation, though compliance remains uneven. In 2018, compliance rates were 61% for activation and 47% for deactivation based on 150 sampled zone officer videos. Our 2024 audit sampled 70 videos across all units, finding compliance improved to 79% for activation and 81% for deactivation, with overall capture rates rising from 60% to 93%. Zone officers exceeded 85% compliance, while other units, often handling more follow-up type calls that had less clear guidance, showed less consistency. Clearer policies for non-dispatch scenarios could further improve compliance. Video categories determine how long a video is retained in the department's evidence software. Police extended the minimum time that videos are retained from 180 days to 5 years, which mitigates many of the risks of miscategorization we found in our 2018 audit. All video categories are now retained for either 5 years or indefinitely. Police also reduced the number of video categories from 32 to 15. Categories also determine whether the video has restricted access for viewers. We found 2 of our sampled 70 videos that should have been categorized as homicide-sex crimes, but were instead put in open access categories. Police also established 2 supervisory review processes since our 2018 audit that helped to review and document officer compliance with body-worn camera policy. The first is a weekly review of metrics, such as whether officers wear cameras during dispatch calls, and the second is a bi-weekly review of 10 randomly selected videos to assess compliance with activation and deactivation policies. As Exhibits 9 and 11 on this slide show, we found that about 30% of the required supervisory review forms were missing between May and December 2024. Police noted that the actual numbers for 2024 submissions were higher, but that some of the 2024 forms were actually completed in 2025. The department digitized these forms in May 2024, but more customization by the contractor, if feasible, would improve efficiency and monitoring. Police also instituted required reviews for its body-worn camera compliance unit. While the team completes this review in the contractor system, the system does not provide an efficient way to check whether those reviews have been completed. We made 16 recommendations in our 2018 audit. Police either implemented these recommendations as suggested or otherwise mitigated the risk that the recommendations were intended to address for 11 of our 16 recommendations. The other 5 recommendations were at least partially implemented by the time we reviewed them. The recommendations marked as partially implemented were clarifying criteria for labeling and categorizing videos in policy, monitoring and tracking the number and percentage of videos compared to dispatch calls, videos uploaded to the system within 1 day, videos streamed by supervisors, and videos audited by the compliance team. For the other 11 that were marked as either implemented or mitigated, these included clarifying policy on whether all officers responding to an incident must record body-worn camera video, updating the policy on use of force incidents to require supervisors to review the audit trail to ensure the involved officer did not access the video prior to writing the incident report, establishing a formal process for supervisors' periodic reviews, conducting monthly reviews of user roles and permissions, enforcing policies requiring the compliance team to review all deleted footage prior to deletion for miscategorization, developing standard justifications for accessed footage, and monitoring and tracking the number and percentage of uncategorized videos, videos deleted before the retention schedule, audited videos that complied with activation and deactivation procedures, and audited videos accurately categorized. In this 2024 audit, we made 5 recommendations to ensure that police improve video capture, retention, and oversight. The Chief of Police agreed with all of our recommendations. Our recommendations include, first, to clarify proper activation and deactivation for supervisor compliance determination and to enforce this consistently. 2, to create guidance for camera activation and deactivation related to non-dispatch calls and non-sworn employees, as well as when non-field staff must turn off cameras. Number 3, to provide guidance on when to use categories that have longer retention periods. Number 4, to acquire, if feasible, the capability to track supervisory review forms and dispatch metrics in evidence.com to more effectively monitor review form compliance and department-wide metrics. And lastly, to acquire, if feasible, the capability to integrate identifying information for randomized videos audited by supervisors and the compliance unit. You can access our full report via the link here, also on our website at atlaudit.org. We would like to thank the Atlanta Police Department for their cooperation and support during this audit. Are there any questions?
Do we have any questions from the body? The Honorable Isha Collins.
Yes, I just have one quick question. Based on this audit, what would be the next steps? Or I know it was about
about 6 years in terms of the first audit to the 2024. So will be the next step in terms of just the auditing, the next step. When will this be audited again?
Good afternoon, Amanda Noble, City Auditor. We regularly follow up on the status of recommendations and report on that quarterly in our quarterly report to FEC. We right now have no plans to audit body-worn cameras again, but we could in the future if that's of interest.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your report. Mr. Overton?
Madam Chair, this is a report that needs to be accepted by the committee. Accepted.
Moved by the Honorable Michael Julian Bond, seconded by the Honorable Ishay Collins to file this report.
Accept and file.
To accept and file this report, please open the vote.
Vote is open. Vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. The report has been accepted and filed.
Next, we will go to our quarterly reports. We will have Chief Shearbaum, APD, come next. And then code enforcement. Thank you, Chief, and welcome, welcome, welcome.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Appreciate your time and always your service to our city and support for public safety. I appreciate all that you do. Madam Chair, before I proceed my comments, I do want to thank the auditing team for their work. To have an independent body to be able to review all facets of public safety, but particular body-worn camera is important. I think the best thing that has happened to American law enforcement is the body-worn camera. It gives us clarity on calls, it enhances our investigations, it helps us in so many different areas. And to see the 88% compliance rate with the vast majority of that in patrol, we are working to make the one adjustment the auditors asked for, which was to clarify around investigations. Many times an investigator will pull a CAD, but they never actually encounter a citizen. And so to be able to make that clarification of why that may look like as a non-compliant activation, I think is important. And I do want to again thank the audit team who have been very, very good to work with and to see the big strides we make. And I would point you to the number of recordings we make every month to show you the high level that is being used in that area. I also would note that body-worn camera audits, as we continue to digitize that area, are vastly improving. This year alone, we've already done 6,923 body-worn camera audits. That's compared to 2,800, which was done last year, to give you a milestone of the number of audits that we continue to randomly select body-worn cameras. It's my pleasure to stand here representing all of the women and men of the Atlanta Police Department, both our civilian professionals and our sworn, to provide you the quarterly reports for the police department. Going to first go by looking at the chart that you are used to seeing as we track crime statistics in the 9 categories of the city. This is both the year to date and the 28-day period. We continue to enjoy another year of overall crime reduction in Atlanta. This is a collective effort that the mayor speaks of Atlanta being a group project and the assistance of our city council. If you notice in the 28-day period, this is where we are consistently readjusting assets, resources in the city, and developing our strategies. The 28-day change is comparing the 4 weeks that we're currently in to the 4 weeks that we just left. So it is a 8-week snapshot of where crime is trending in the city. If you notice on the 28-day, we're seeing reductions in all areas with the exception of 2, and that is the categories of shoplifting as well as rape. And as you can see, those numbers are relatively small around rape. Those are ones that tend to be some type of relationship with an individual between the assailant and the victim. Sometimes these are delayed. And we do want to continue our partners who encourage victims to make delayed reports. That is important. We should not want to delay justice there. You will notice on the news that we did arrest last week an individual that actually had committed 2 stranger-on-stranger rapes, which are very rare in the city, last week in the city, in the Zone 2 area. We have made those arrests, and we are calling on any victim of that individual. Please look at the news reports, look at his photograph. If you have been victimized by this individual, we ask that you do report that immediately to the Atlanta Police Department as we have that case open. Right now, when we look at our 6 zones, we only have 2 zones that are up for the 28-day. As you know, we're coming out of our summer months. We tend to see an uptick in crime in the summer, and that tends to go down in the fall. Actually, this year, we actually saw very good trends throughout the summer. Right now, Zone 2 has a slight 2% increase for the 28-day, even though they are down 10% for the year. And then Zone 6 has a 5% increase, while they too are down for the year. So we're monitoring that closely, making resource adjustments into Zone 2 and into Zone 6 that we have to counter that, but all the other zones are actually down for the 28-day in a double digits across the board. I'm going to look at some key areas that are important to all of us as Atlantans, and certainly as members of the Public Safety Committee. I'm going to talk now about persons that have been shot and injured, non-fatal shootings. And I'm going to distinguish between aggravated assaults and then person shot, because you know aggravated assaults are trending slightly up. I'm going to get into that in just a moment. But our non-fatal shootings are now down for the 4th year in the row. In fact, it is now 32% reduced over 2022 when we started our focus on gangs, guns, and drugs in the city. Now we're currently at 10% reductions in person shot in Atlanta over this time last year, or August 30th when this chart was generated. You'll notice as we continue to see a drop in our homicides, the number of individuals shot in the city has also dropped at almost the same percent as we remove those guns and those factors out of the environment. Aggravated assault shootings are down 10%, but where we do see a slight increase for last year versus 11 is around property crimes. Individuals that are interrupting a property crime or they are committing one and used a weapon in that offense. So that's where you see that increase there. We want to continue to ask everyone to assist us in this area. We still see escalating dispute is the #1 reason a person is shot in the city of Atlanta. Over the most ridiculous things that I've said at this podium for the last 3 years: parking spaces, last piece of pizza eaten, disputes around infidelity or alleged infidelity. It continues to be the area where faith communities, civic organizations, youth programs are key in continuing to reduce these numbers. We continue to be blessed to see a continued reduction of homicides in our city, and this continues a 4-year reduction. If you go back, or a 3-year reduction going back to 2022, when we had a 20-some-year high in homicides in our city, those continue to be reduced as we focus on those factors that are all of Atlanta's responsibility: youth engagement, reduction around conflict, and then also gangs, guns, and drugs by the police department. Right now, we are standing at a 29% over homicides this time last year in Atlanta, and that is a 44% in reductions in homicides in our city in 2022. Where are those playing out? Escalating dispute last year at this time was the top reason, and that was 43% of our homicides. Right now, it's 48%. So escalating disputes continue to be the #1 reason an individual is a victim of gun violence in our city, and they become a victim of homicide. It is that moment where someone is angry, that is very human. Well, you may be angry about it, but then you pick up a gun and you use it. Or you pick up a knife and you use it. Last year when I stood at this podium at this time, domestic violence was our #2 motivator at 23% of our homicides. One homicide is too many, but as I stand before you today, we've only had 2 domestic violence homicides in the city this year compared to 20 last year. So each of you that championed the No More campaign, each of you that brought resources to your constituents, activated your civic and faith organizations, that was a role that lies outside the police department. We can't be in living rooms, and we can't be in kitchens, and we can't be in homes. This has certainly been an Atlanta approach. It was a response of the mayor's call for the No More campaign, and we want to continue to see that drop. What is #2 right now in the city this year is drug-related robberies. Hitting of drug locations, someone setting up a drug deal, and then a robbery goes after that, and a person is shot during that robbery or stabbed. And that right now is the #2 known reason that we see. And we see the rest you see laid out at that location there. I do want to commend our investigators, our initially responding officers, our crime scene technicians, our fingerprint analysts, and Atlantans for the clearance rate that we see in Atlanta, Georgia. Right now across America, homicides are solved at a 54.7% average, the time that the person that committed the murder is identified and brought to justice. In Atlanta, right now we stand at 71.8%. Why is that? Atlantans use Crime Stoppers. Atlantans give us the information they know that says someone needs to be brought to justice. Your investment in our camera system and our license plate reader system has been very beneficial in this area. Also, the dedication of our officers working around the clock to make sure that we're able to identify who committed the murder. And I know as I stand at this podium, there are citizens who have not yet solved the murder of their loved one, of their neighbor, of their family member. What allowed us to get to 71% is the same approach that is being applied to those. But I do ask that anyone that may be hearing this presentation that has information on a robbery that has occurred in our city to please use Crime Stoppers. Let us know so we can also bring justice to those families as well. Want to distinguish aggravated assaults from persons shot. Aggravated assault is a weapon being pointed at you but not discharged, a mace being used, an iron being used, a golf club being used. That can also be an aggravated assault. Since I briefed you last, we did see an uptick of road rage incidents in our city where weapons were being pointed at individuals on the connector, on a side street where they were angry about getting cut off. And in a couple of those instances, we saw those weapons discharged into the vehicle. Aggravated assault also occurs if a person is in a house, someone gets mad and they walk outside and fire that round back into the home, and there's individuals standing in the room. Every person in that room is counted as an aggravated assault victim. And so again, that has been an escalating dispute at some Airbnbs, other times where individuals are angry, they're mad, and they leave and they fire that weapon again. So that is an area we're going to continue to focus on. While it is reduced 21% in the 28-day, we're going to work very hard to make sure we end this year out in the negative, and our aggravated assaults are down 16% from 2022. There's another area of concern. As you notice, we've arrested 549 individuals for committing this offense in the city this year, and we have outstanding arrest warrants for 157. Big challenge that you hear often from this podium, you hear speak about at the Repeat Offender Commission, is how repeat offenders predominantly occupy this space. This is an example, if you see, of Mr. Fouts. This individual, he pointed a firearm during a road rage incident. He had already been arrested 25 times by law enforcement, 9 felony convictions. Same thing with Mr. Bellamy. He threw a glass bottle at a person, striking them in the head. He had already been arrested 46 times by law enforcement, had been convicted 10 times of a felony. And then on the next one, you will see, and again, if anyone from Crime Stoppers will report where Mr. Holt is, this individual has already been arrested 25 times by law enforcement, 6 felony convictions. And when he was asked to leave a store, he fired into the store, not striking anyone, but carried an aggravated assault. So these are areas we continue to ask the courts, the prosecuting entities, to be mindful who's before them. Some people need mental health treatment. Some people need drug and alcohol dependency intervention. Then some people need the full attention of the court because they're likely to harm again in our neighborhoods if they are released. Robberies, we're seeing a slight tick of robberies right now than where we had this time last year. While robberies are down 31% in the 28-day, they're actually up 33% for the year. What are we seeing in that area? Food delivery drivers for Uber and Lyft have been targeted in these areas. We're also seeing online transactions targeted highly. So if you're wanting to buy a nice pair of shoes, if you're trying to buy jewelry or electronics, be very, very mindful of that. We are seeing a trend where individuals are using the internet, social media, to lure individuals into robberies. And so while we've seen an uptick in 2023, we're enjoying a 3-year reduction that you see in that area. So far this year, we have arrested 103 individuals for committing robberies across our 245 neighborhoods, and we currently have outstanding arrest warrants in 36 of those. But this is another area where repeat offenders are occupying a space that is very pronounced. When I stood before you last time, we were looking for Mr. Brooks. Someone did provide us information. Mr. Brooks is in custody, but that was his 29th arrest, and he's a 4-time convicted felon. We also did arrest recently Gerald Jones. 20 previous arrests, 3 felony convictions for a robbery that he committed. And right now we're seeking this individual who committed a robbery in the city when he stole money and lottery tickets from a convenience store. This is an area, again, if you have information where the whereabouts of Mr. Kirksey, please advise Crime Stoppers. Something else we're doing is safe exchange zones. When we started to see the uptick of individuals being lured into a robbery situation because they wanted to buy something or sell something, we see it go both ways, we moved to establish safe exchange zones at our police precincts. So in a very prominent place at all 6 of our police precincts, we ask citizens of this city to go to this location. I have yet to see, and I hope I'm not proven wrong, someone that will commit a robbery in the parking lot of a police precinct. So we're asking you, go to this location. If your spidey senses are telling you something's not right, you're probably right. And go to this location. If they are up to no good, they probably will not show up. And this area will be under surveillance. And I do want to thank ADOT for moving quickly to create the signs so we can deploy. So this is an area to look at one of the trends that's impacting us this year and to be able to turn it around. Motor vehicle thefts. You all know last year the city was hit hard with thefts of vehicles in the city that often went on time to be used in other crimes. Hyundais and Kias being a highlight of that. We have been adjusting our strategies, how we're countering that. We're noticing more and more of them are being perpetrated by very well organized groups within the city, both at the airport as well as in the city proper. If you'll notice, year to date, we've had a significant reduction of vehicle thefts in Atlanta, 39%. That's even down 28% in the 28-day trend that we're in. And if you go to the airport, a 53% reduction in vehicle thefts over this time last year, and a 64% reduction in the 28-day as well. As we see individuals that are using well-organized methods to steal vehicles, we're starting to see a movement away from the Kia, where you would get in the car and use the steering column. We're seeing more and more of the programmer devices. So be mindful if your vehicle, and I don't want to advertise any from this podium, if your vehicle is susceptible to being stolen by a programmer, we are seeing more and more of that in the city and at the airport. And so we encourage everyone to be mindful of that, take steps to prevent that. The primary one will be using a club or another device on your steering wheel. You all helped us get a lot of those out in the city last year that helped us reduce our Kia and Hyundai thefts. I ask that you continue to do the same there. We have arrested 233 different individuals, separate individuals, for stealing vehicles in our city this year, and 17 of those are still outstanding. One case I want to point to is the significance of gang influence in stirring crime in our city. This is the most hated gang. They were operating out of the address that I have there on the screen, and we were able to develop that they were working across multiple areas of crime in Atlanta. They were focusing mainly on Infinitis and Nissans, and they were in fact using key programming devices to be able to steal those vehicles. But then they would take those cars and they would move on to commit smash and grabs in the city, auto break-ins, gun trafficking, and aggravated assaults. The team worked very hard to connect all of the dots across many of our investigative units. They were able to identify this group. We served our search warrants at this location. We took 6 into custody. When we took those 6 into custody, here's the amount of firearms that we saw. 7 firearms, 1 of them the fully automatic that you see there. 2 of them were stolen. We recovered 2 stolen vehicles at the location, and we were able to execute 6 warrants that we had standing when we went at that time. What did we also recover? The key programming device that you see on your screen. Also credit cards that was being used in fraud. We had 2 stolen vehicles that were recovered at the location, but all the guns that were removed from that group cannot be fired in any of your districts. They can't be fired in any city parks of this street. They will never return to that area where they could be used to further crime or being present in a moment of anger. So I really want to commend our investigative units working across the department's various units and our partners at the ATF and the FBI for their help in this area. There's many reasons why we're seeing our 3rd year in reduction of violent crime in Atlanta, Georgia. It is the summer youth programs. It's every intern that you hire. It is the work of all of our communities. It is the work of the civic organizations and the faith communities. In our lane, it is the gangs, guns, and drugs that we continue to focus on. So far this year, we've removed 2,112 guns out of various environments. That goes against the 3,197 guns that were removed in 2023 and the 3,137 guns that were removed in 2024. Those are from criminal investigations, recoveries, guns that have been stashed outside of locations, the work of the department to continue to remove guns from the street. Our gang focus. So far this year, we have been able to establish probable cause that 426 times a gang affiliation was being used to further criminal activity in our city, continuing to remove that factor at play. And then drugs. So far this year, your police department has entered 67 doors. 67 doors that on the other side of that door was a heavily armed individual, more often than not, individuals that were committing the act of dealing drugs into our city, and individuals that many times are on probation and parole already. 67 times, fortunately, our officers have been protected by the grace of God and executed those warrants and without any harm to the offender on the other side. We've arrested 104 individuals in those 67 warrants. We've removed 110 guns from the street in those warrants, 835 pounds of marijuana, 37 pounds of cocaine, 300 grams of heroin, and then it goes on down through the list that you have there. I want to say this every time I have the opportunity to present to each of you and the citizens of Atlanta. Drug dealing operations breed violence. Someone will eventually come for the cash that's there or the drugs for there, or there's going to be one of the robbery-motivated homicides that you were briefed on earlier. The tips that we receive through Crime Stoppers is the #1 way that we know that a citizen knows something is wrong in the area you're in. I'm going to give you 2 quick examples. 544 Oakside Drive Southwest had information that drugs were being dealt out of this location back on July 28th of this year. 30 pounds of marijuana was there, 10 pints of promethazine, and $11,000 in cash, showing the amount of drugs that was moving through there. But just look at the guns that were present on Oakside Drive. Those guns not been removed, they would eventually be fired. They're going to be fired on that street. They're going to be fired at a gas station where we went to do the drug deal, or they're going to be fired in a park of our city. So how we reduce crime in Atlanta, Georgia. So thank you to the citizens that give us their information. This location at Willis Mill Road Southwest, 120 pounds of marijuana being dealt from this location, a vast other range of narcotics. But look at the amount of guns that were present there protecting that drug trade. And I want to thank the men and women of the department for their efforts dismantling these organizations, and every citizen that works alongside their police department to make sure these drugs cannot be sold into the communities and violence follow them. I want to give you an update on the growth of the police department. We continue to enjoy growth that not every police department is seeing. Right now, we currently stand at 1,707 sworn personnel. Approximately 200 of them are in training, and 502 very important professional members of our staff are civilian members. We're growing because we're investing in public safety. The new Public Safety Training Center, new precincts coming online. We're getting ready to do a groundbreaking tomorrow on our Zone 4 precinct, the return of a pension and compatible salaries across the region to make sure we're no longer the pipeline for other police departments to staff their organization. We have done a number of job fairs. We're very proud of the ones we do right here in Atlanta, Georgia. We're very proud of the individuals that are joining us right from our 245 neighborhoods. Please continue to promote the police department as a location, have a very rewarding career, a meaningful career. We're also looking to become more competitive in the area of laterals into the organization, and now offering a $10,000 bonus for hiring laterals. This is paid for by the Police Foundation. That puts us more competitive with our largest competitors in the area. So thank to each of you for supporting public safety. The last time we had this many officers on the department was October of 2020. When we were at 1,785. And as you know, we saw a steady drop over the last few years. After that, we're now starting to grow back and see the department get larger. You should see more patrol cars in your neighborhoods. You should see us more growing our specialized units. I want to focus real quick on our Edgewood Avenue safety enhancements. You are aware back in the latter part of July, we've had a horrible incident on Edgewood Avenue. We have made an arrest in every one of those occurrences. The arrest of the individual that lost her life with 11 people shot, arrest made. The individual that was shot because she was merely doing her job enforcing the parking in her lot, arrest made. And the individuals that were fighting outside of the bar, arrest made. A lot of that goes to citizens providing us good information, the hard work of the investigators, but also the video that we had available, both in the infrastructure that was put in that place and what was ever to be provided to us. We continue to work in this area, adding more lighting, more cameras have been installed here. We're working closely with our partners in the non-law enforcement area to continue to enhance the safety here, but not only in Edgewood, but the other entertainment districts that are across Atlanta. Since I briefed you last, we also had 7 games of FIFA Club Cup that were played right here in Atlanta, Georgia, June and July. All of those went off without any issues that were significant in nature. We had a lot of our partners at the state level, the federal level assisting there, the Mayor's Office of Emergency Preparedness, Department of Public Works, ADOT, many other city agencies that assist us in crowd control, keeping the area safe. All the fan marches that occurred, the Joint Operations Center was open during that time to make sure that we had the right focus in those areas, and we're looking at the safety of the parking that occurred in the area, but also mindful that there were 244 neighborhoods that were not having a Club Cup, and they expected to see their police department, and they expected their police department to be there if they called. So we want to commend the team for this. As you know, June and July of next year, we will have the World Cup here. So this was a good way for us to test our plan, to test our coordination with our federal and state partners, and to make sure that we are getting the best plan in place that we can to be ready next year when the world once again returns to Atlanta, Georgia. Since I briefed you last, we also hosted the world's largest 10K. This is a day when almost every single member of the Atlanta Police Department works. Unless you've had a baby or you're serving in the military, you're probably going to be working the Peachtree Road Race, or you're still going to continue to work in our other roles protecting Atlanta. That first roll call is at 3 a.m. But officers have worked all night protecting the route. They've worked days and weeks in the prior before planning for that event. It has a high level of terror threat attached to it. If you think of 10 kilometers of where bombs could be placed, 10 kilometers of where snipers could be played out, vehicle intrusion enhancement that had to be made after the New Orleans attack that occurred earlier in this year. I do want to thank the team for all their work keeping the Peachtree Road Race safe, the Atlanta Track Club for their work there, Atlanta Fire Rescue, the Mayor's Office of Emergency Preparedness, Department of Public Works, which provides a number of resources throughout that day. This is certainly a day that you're proud to be an Atlantan, but a lot of people have to come to work on that day to make sure that is. So I'm going to be looking for you all next year with your bib running on the route as you go, so we keep that safe. But I do want to make sure we commend all of our men and women for their work there. But we just haven't been using the law to keep our neighborhoods safe. Your department has been very during the summer. We do know smart enforcement of the law is important for a safe summer, but so is youth engagement. We had 140 children attend our 2 PAL camps this year. 140 children. Many of them were referred to us by the district council offices. We thank you for that. Each week, Glacier Italian Ice provided treats to all of those children, courtesy of Major Sturdivant. Many of you know. During this time, we also had girls' activities that were occurring throughout the city, including visiting our 911 center, which you see right there on your screen. We had boys' activities that included movie trips and also a visit to the Martin Luther King Center. We also had Lake Day every Monday at Lake Allatoona. Activities for the children that were charged to our care during the summer. We also had a local talent showcase at Broadway on Bankhead's Beauty and the Beast. We also had National Night Out that we had during this time. We had a lot of people that were there throughout the city. So this is where we enjoy meeting our citizens outside of a crisis, outside of something being wrong, and we were very proud to do our part engaging the wonderful young men and women of Atlanta, Georgia. And Madam Chair, as I prepare to close out the presentation, I do want to take a moment to commend our 911 center. As you know, about 2 years ago, we were struggling with our answer times at 911 center. It was about 24 seconds to answer a 911 call. We have now dropped that down to 9 seconds on average. And because of the work that's been done around technology, about process enhancements, the growth of the staff, this year APCO, which is the National 911 Organization, they always recognize one team of the year that honors exceptional public safety communication teams. You'll be glad to know that of all the 911 centers in the country, Atlanta, Georgia was picked to be the APCO E911 Center of the Year. So to Director Arnold, to all of her team at the 911 Center, our phenomenal civilian staffs that are there, I want to thank them for the hard work that's occurring in that space. And it's just not by phone that you can reach your 911 center. You can text us now. You can also contact us via the internet, which is becoming more of a way to use our internet portal to immediately hit into the queue. We saw on the news last week there was a fire that occurred where individuals had difficulty reaching 911. We have dug in that closely. That is appears to be a Verizon outage that caused that. We looked closely. We were still receiving 911 calls from other providers reporting the fire. There was no delay in our response. But if a citizen should ever not be able to get through by a dial tone, text us or go to your internet portal and send us that emergency right away. It hits the 911 center. We can see it and we can craft a response to that. And then finally, if If you want to continue to do your part of keeping Atlanta safe, please register or integrate your cameras. We now stand at over 23,000 registered cameras in Atlanta. These cameras aren't monitored by your police department. You merely let us know they're there. If there's been a package theft on your street, if there's a missing child on your street, someone missing, we're going to send you an email, help us look. If you want to integrate your cameras, this is primarily businesses, so we can see what you see. And we have 24,000 cameras, more than that have been integrated. That allows us to quickly solve crimes, find lost children, find Alzheimer's persons in our city. So, Madam Chair, that is the report out from your police department today. Certainly open for any questions that you or members of the Public Safety Committee may have today.
Thank you, Chief. First, I'd like to thank Major Clay, Chief Tyus. They were in church services yesterday and were interrupted and took those calls. So we want to thank them for their support and their responsiveness on yesterday. Also, Captain Carla Baldini, super. She has been on the ground, Delmar Lane, all over the community, over by Harper Archer and Carroll Heights. We'd like to thank her as well. And Chief, thank you for answering the call, whether it's morning, noon, or night. We appreciate you all and thank you for this very well done presentation. The Honorable Antonio Lewis.
Chief, thank you so much for the work you're doing in District 12 and Zone 3. The our Major Woolfolk is a super asset to the community. Everywhere I go, I see him. In meetings, from this weekend, a meeting in Polar Rock, to actually coming out to the men's health care event and getting his prostate cancer checking with me. And so he's all over the community, and is happy to see this type of collaboration with the police in Zone 3. We haven't seen it in a long time, so truly appreciative of the work that Major Woolfolk's been doing. Want to help him a little bit. At a previous meeting that I was at, he was this week in Polar Rock. One of our constituents, Mario Head, he read a note, and same feel I have. And when I look at the book that you gave us, it made me think about it more, because when you say that the safe space to pull up to is the police station, Zone 3 police station is locked. And I wanted to know, is there a way we can open up Zone 3 police station so when a person comes up, they don't have to ring the bell? And because this is a beautiful police station, and that's why it's in this photo, a perfect place to be. And also the gate that we have around the police station. I know that when we finish that beautiful fire station on Cleveland Avenue, similar to the police station, we're not going to put up a fence around it. We want to make it as open as possible to the community to show them this stuff. So if we can make sure that he has the door open, and I understand sometimes we don't have enough staff to have a person sitting at the front desk. So I want to make sure that he has that as well. But if we can, make sure that our major has a person at the front desk at all times, and make sure that he's able to open up the door and move the gate. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
The Honorable Michael Julian Bond.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Chief, for a very thorough presentation as always. And just want to go on the record again to say we support the men and women of the Atlanta Police Department and all the related offices and agencies, and appreciate the hard work and the job that you do. I wanted to ask you a question about, you had mentioned in your report, you talked about the retention of officers and getting to you mentioned the actual complement of officers that we actually have today, based on, I guess, applications or recruitment and, I guess, the class schedule. How soon do you think that we might meet our goal of 2,000 officers again?
That is based off the two trends. If we keep our current hiring trends today and our current attrition trends, we will hire that 2,020th person in 2027, sir.
Okay. Well, that's good. So get into the attrition. So how much has the attrition rate slowed in the last couple of years, and what do you see as being a contributing factor for that?
So we're seeing, I don't have the percentage in front of me, but we're seeing it slow noticeably. In fact, we're growing at a noticeable number. I just gave you the number that we're now. We're going to go across back over 1,800 probably the first quarter of next year easily. Right now, I attribute that to a couple things, more than one. We've invested in the pay. So when you have so many police departments in the region and all are needing police officers, when you're the lowest paid police department, it puts you at a disadvantage, particularly when you train as one of the highest levels that the Atlanta Police Department does. So bringing in a competitive pay scale, returning a true pension to the organization, completing the Public Safety Training Center, and investing in new precincts, and just saying thank you and supporting the men and women of the force. I think those are factors of why we're seeing our attrition leave lower, so we don't see individuals leaving to go to other police organizations at the rate that we were. And then we are now starting a recruit class every month. We have started a recruit class every month from April through September, and then we'll reassess it after this month, whether we return to our every other month schedule or we maintain monthly for a few more months until we get everyone through the door. What I don't want to do is hire someone and we don't start their class till April, or we don't start their class till February. What's going to happen, those recruits are going to go join another police department. So we have a nice training facility. We have the space that we need to continue to train at that rate, and we're going to continue to do so.
Okay. I wanted to jump back and ask you something about the pension, the return to the pension. When will that take effect?
Well, it's taking effect now. So individuals that are joining the organization now, if they stay with the organization for a full career, they will retire at 70% of their top 5 years. And I think for someone that commits their life to public service, commits to setting themselves aside for public service, and let me be very clear, there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into being a police officer. You miss a lot of your firsts. And I can't remember the last time I celebrated the 4th of July not in a uniform. It was probably 2001, I should say, before I joined the Atlanta Police Department. So I think for individuals to come in and do this job, to provide them a pension, that after they serve the city, that they can have a good retirement, I think that's a good thing. And if everyone's watching this presentation right now, and you are a police officer, I encourage you to look at what pension your department is offering and then take a look at ours. And we have a great lateral program, and we're going to give you $10,000 to come and join us if you qualify.
Okay.
Well, just a quick, I know there are other questions, but just quick. So I know that one time in the last decade or so, there was a hybrid program. So are these officers able to transfer into the new pension situation, or is it still like the hybrid?
So there is a plan underway to transition individuals that were in the hybrid, and I don't have the specifics. That's an HR question.
Okay.
But we will have individuals that are in that space where they were hired and have been under the hybrid for a period of time, and we're working to make sure they still have a better retirement than what they transitioned to under the new plan. And so those individuals will have a transitional phase as we move them to the new pension.
Okay, and offline, because I'm going to relinquish, but I do want to talk to you about an incident in East Atlanta with a family-owned restaurant and event center that's been there since the 1960s. I guess about a month ago, on a Saturday night, APD showed up to shut an event down there, saying they were code enforcement violations, but they didn't provide any or didn't issue any tickets that particular night. But what really disturbed me about the incident is that the owners requested to speak to a supervisor. Supervisor came to the scene but wouldn't talk to them, wouldn't engage with them. Subsequently, probably I think 5 days later, a code inspector showed up with the actual tickets, but that was almost a week later. So I want to talk to you about that.
Absolutely. I'll call you as soon as we're done, or you call me.
Okay.
I just need the address, and I can find it from there.
All right.
And the date. Yep.
Okay.
You know, always reach out if you know, or if you feel that we have not lived up to our standard of service. Let me know right away so we can work on it to correct it.
Okay, I'll do that. And thank you again. And just want to say thank you to the men and women of your department. I think that they're doing an exciting job, and I think we're seeing the best days of APD that we've seen in a long time.
Thank you, sir.
The community and the people appreciate it.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Chief, whatever you all did on the Lyndhurst and ML King area to clear that out, if they would do that again as well, Lyndhurst and ML King, I think for about 4 or 5 months, It was really in good shape. So we would send some folks out to clear that out. And also where the Sitco, the old Sitco, we went to court with them. That has become a breeding ground for large crowds on Saturday and Sundays. So if we could get those down by the Adamsville Drive, Adamsville, ML King, and Lyndhurst, they were cleared, but now they seem to be coming back up again. So, and I had spoken to Chief Tyus about that as well. But again, thank you all for doing a great job. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. And now we will move on to our code enforcement. But ma'am, we have to do that.
I'll step out and speak with Mr. Webber.
Ma'am, I'm so sorry. We can't allow that. I'm so sorry. We can't allow that. He'll speak to her. He'll speak to her in private. And now code enforcement. Director Talley, come on up with your team.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and other members of the committee. I am Daphne Talley, the Director of the Atlanta Police Department Code Enforcement Section. I have here with me today Deputy Director Laline Parks, as well as Captain Jeff Baxter, and the Project Manager for the Safe and Secure Housing Initiative, TJ English. As always, thank you for the opportunity to present out on our code enforcement efforts throughout the city. Today's presentation will focus more so on Q2, and for compliance resolution, we'll talk about FY25, data from FY25. So inspections, our inspections, actually productivity has increased in all key areas in APD code enforcement in Q2. Our inspections are up by 16%. From Q1. Also, our complaints filed are up 16% from Q1, and inspections are up 17% from Q1, partly because of the Safe and Secure Housing Initiative with all of the apartment complexes that they've been inspecting. Court activity increased 183%. If this committee remembers, we had to request legislation earlier this year to amend our housing code in the way that we delivered our civil notices. So for about 2 months, we had to hold those civil notices. So that's why that huge increase took place in Q2 of 25. Also, the number of complaints that we resolved increased by 7%. Again, so this is showing that we are resolving just as many cases that are coming in. So we're eliminating the backlog that we had for such a long time with the inspections. This slide, we wanted to focus on our top 5 districts. This is pretty much the same since I've been with the city. These top districts, actually District 1 fell off during this time period, but the bulk of our inspections, as you can see, are performed in the top 5 districts, Districts 3, 9, 10, 11, and 12. These are the districts that we're trying to ensure that we have multiple code enforcement officers assigned to. The MPUs in these districts are G, H, I, J, K, some of the high performing or high compliance MPUs, G, H, I, J, I think V, and Z. Currently, we do have 2 code enforcement officers assigned to H, I, and J, but we're trying to get multiple code enforcement officers assigned in those other districts as well. The compliance resolution activity, this is the administrative in-rem proceedings. As this committee knows, currently we are not holding any administrative in-rem hearings. We have switched over to judicial in-rem proceedings. But for FY25, we have demolished 40 properties. 4 properties are pending. We were able to also clean and close 14 properties and clean and cut 9 properties. To date, we have transferred 63 cases over to the Office of the City Solicitor to request that judicial interim proceedings begin. To date, 12 complaints have been filed. 6 of those were filed by the deputy, I'm sorry, actually, I believe she was recently promoted, but the Division Chief Shamia Washington, and the other 6 were filed by the solicitor's office. So 3 of those properties, 7 demolition orders have been issued. 3 cases have been reset. 2 structures were actually demolished by the owner after the order was issued. And I think it's important for us to note that 7 demolitions were completed by the owner prior to the solicitor's office filing those judicial interim complaints. And next up, I am going to have Project Manager TJ come and talk about some of the work that was done in Q2 for the Safe and Secure Housing Initiative.
Good afternoon. My name is Tyon English. I'm the project manager for the Safe and Secure Housing Initiative, and I'm here to update for Q2 for our activity. First of all, before I get into 1240 Oakland Drive Southwest, I just wanted to provide an update regarding 2800 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive Southwest. That apartment complex is commonly known as 7 Courts Apartments. Their apartment complex has been completely demolished, and not only did the responsible party completely demolish the apartment complex, they removed all of the junk, trash, debris, rubble from the demolition, and they've also taken the extra step to put up a fence around the entire property. And occasionally I go by the property and I see a car out there, which would be a security guard to make sure that nobody goes onto the property and make sure that the property is properly secured and monitored at all times. So that apartment complex is a project that we did early on in the housing initiative. So that's just a testament to the fact that once we make contact with the property, once we conduct the detail, we do follow up and we do follow through, make sure that the owners follow through with whatever promises they made or whatever they attested to what they'll do going forward to make sure that they not only comply with the violations at that time, but they move forward with some type of long-term sustainable compliance with the housing initiative. But in Q2 specifically, we've conducted 7 proactive details for the Safe Secure Housing Initiative. Of those details, I wanted to bring to your attention the property that's on the board here, 1240 Oakland Drive Southwest, which is formerly Bolden Townhomes. When we initially made a contact with this apartment complex doing our proactive detail, this was in June. We observed a total of 131 code violations at this apartment complex. The code violations we observed were anywhere from several units that were open and vacant and unsecured against unforced entry. We found a half dozen junk vehicles on the property, broken windows, occupied units that lacked the proper plumbing, and vacant units that were not boarded to minimum specifications as long as broken windows. As of now, I'm pleased to say that every last one of those apartments that were open and unsecured against unforced entry have been secured. Most of those violations have been complied. We still have an issue with the junk, trash, and debris, but the junk vehicles have been removed. We did cite the owner for the code violations. This went to court, and the city asked for a total of $61,000 for total fines for that particular apartment complex. Again, this is something that we'll continue to monitor going forward as far as the compliance of the property, and not only that it's completely in compliance, to make sure that the owner continues to make sure that there are no code violations or the issues recur at this apartment complex, just as we did with 2800 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive Southwest. Also, I wanted to mention 2 other apartment complexes that we conducted inspections at during Q2 that are 100% in compliance. Those apartment complexes are 1289 Westlake Avenue Northwest, which is also known as Westlake Gardens, and also apartment complex 1829 Campbellton Road Southwest, also known as Venetian Hills Apartments. Again, those 2 apartment complexes have been 100% in compliance as far as all of the violations we observed during our proactive detail during Q2.
Thank you. And last, we just want to talk about or discuss some of the impacts that we made in Q2. Actually, I just really wanted to focus on one that I think has been brought to the committee's attention as well as ours for quite some time. 311, ATL 311, they're now using a new system. And whereas before, if a constituent called to 311, they received that CR number. And if they called back to 311, 311 would tell them that complaint was closed, which was not true. The case stayed open on our end. And so now we have integrated Excella, which is our case management system, has integrated with their new system. I believe it's ATL Connect. And so now when a constituent calls to get an update, if the case is still open on our end, they will be informed that that case is still open, and they will be given the proper status. So that is one of the biggest things I know during MPU meetings, any town hall meeting, that the constituents complained about not getting accurate information from ATL 311. So that is one of the highlights that we wanted to talk about with Impact 2, that occurred in Impact 2. And that concludes our presentation. We will accept questions and comments at this time. Thank you.
We have a board member waiting. We have several board members waiting, but before they start, let me thank you all so much for responding to the citizens of Atlanta and some of those difficult property issues. Thank you so much for going out on site, Director Talley, to check on those issues along Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, and Ms. Selena Beasley for her patience with talking with the citizens and meeting with them all types of day and night during the early morning hours. Again, thank you so much. Our first speaker will be the Honorable Byron D. Amos.
Thank you. Wasn't sure I was going to make it, but I'll be very quick. I need clarity and understanding. When we get a response from your office saying that there is a pending investigation to a case, what exactly do that mean?
So actually, they should be providing you with an inspection date. So pending meaning that they have not created a complaint. And once it's created, then of course an inspection will be performed. But generally, especially Ms. Beasley, if you're getting that response from Ms. Beasley, she knows that, if someone is asking for an update, if we do not have an active complaint, go ahead and create that complaint so you're provided with an inspection date.
So not saying who we getting it from, we're getting responses from issues we have reported 2-3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And so I'm just, when we go back to the community and we say there's a pending investigation,
right.
So what is the time frame between receiving a complaint from our office to actually getting movement on there? Is there a SOP that we follow?
Yes. Yeah. So when a complaint is filed, we're generally boots on the ground, meaning that initial inspection is conducted within 48 hours. And so after that, then it goes to research. Research generally, it takes them about 3 to 5 days, depending on the caseload, to complete that research. And then depending on the type of violation, if it's what we consider a highly hazardous violation, then we're going to go straight to some type of citation or a civil notice, meaning we're trying to get them in court as soon as possible. If it's what we identify as property maintenance, which is the bulk of what we receive in our office, overgrowth, trash, and debris, then we're going to issue a courtesy notice. That courtesy notice, it depends on how much time the officer thinks that the property owner needs to bring it into compliance. And then if they fail to comply, then we're in court. So it sounds like it is a quick process, but of course it is not. So anytime you receive pending investigation, please call me or send me an email so we can get you some specific information or updates to provide.
Well, that's very good. So, I mean, definitely if your team start giving us more information, because we realize it's not always your team. The next step is the court. So if that is the doorbell we need to be ringing, we need to know that as well. Okay. Let me give you a couple of addresses that one is a couple of weeks old and others look as if they're a couple of years old. Okay. Have 110, with 99 and 110 Leathers Circle.
Leathers?
Yes, with an S.
Okay.
Don't have a case number on that.
That's okay.
I have Haynes Street, case number 2025. 04037. And then I have 451 and 426 West Lake. The case number for 451 is 2024-05902. And the case number for 426 West Lake is 2023-20616.
Can you provide the case number for Haynes Drive once more?
Haynes is 2025-04037.
And I'm sure Ms. Beasley is watching, and she will probably provide an update before we
give her
leave.
a couple of days off. She does a lot of things takes a lot of calls that you all don't know about. Hey,
She does.
She really, really does. And Ms. Beasley, thank you on behalf of the citizens of Atlanta for having a great, great attitude. Thank you.
And that's why I was saying sometimes it's not in your house, but your team may not want to say is the city of Atlanta courts. That's the issue.
Yeah.
So if you'll be more than willing to say that,
sure.
to take it off their back, and we'll be listening. But thank you for everything you and your team
Will do.
do. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Honorable Michael Julian Bond.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Ms. Taylor, for a very thorough report. I just have a quick couple of questions. One, looking at the detail of the top 5 council districts where you get the highest amount of, I guess, requests for inspections or actions. Those are also probably with the exception of District 9, areas, well, currently District 9, have the most probably preponderance of senior citizen residents in those areas. So what provisions does your department make or consider when dealing with seniors that probably get notices or complaints against their property for, whatever the violation may be? That's part A. And part B is, do you have these complaints broken out where we can see what people are reporting in those areas?
Yes. So I can answer part B first. Yes, we can provide that information. And part A, so a couple of things, and we've been talking about this in the office. One of the things when we encounter a senior citizen, a occupied property with code violations, we prefer to issue a citation to get them into court because the solicitor's office has resources that can assist. And I believe they're here, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding that they do have a budget. So if we encounter a senior citizen with roof deterioration, that they have a budget to assist, but we first have to cite to get them into court. And I've been told by Erica Smith that even, if someone can't make it to court, they will go out to the home to get the information that they need to move that case forward. So anytime we encounter that, the officers know to have a conversation with their supervisor so we can talk about next steps.
Okay. Yeah, because, the long-standing concern with housing code that predates pretty much all of you in areas that may be considered gentrifying, that those who are trying to obtain property or trying to buy folks' property, a lot of times they do unscrupulous things like call housing code to harass the residents, of those particular areas. And so I think it would be helpful, along with the solicitor's office, if some of these things can be made available to, I guess, broadly to the public so people know that the resources are there, kind of ahead of time, even though I know that the citation in this case is the trigger. Right. But if that type of help is available, then I don't know if a warning gets issued first and then they can get the help or what have you. And then I guess second, I'm going to follow up with what I mentioned to the police chief. There's a family-owned business over in East Atlanta, Kirkwood neighborhood, APD was called out there on a Saturday night when they were having a private event at their establishment. They were shut down, and they were told, the owners were told that there were housing code cases against the property. But the housing code, I guess whoever was the housing code inspector didn't show up until 5 days later. So I guess how would a situation like that happen? I mean, do you all alert APD, days ahead of time when you're going to make a case, or how would that even happen?
So I think the code enforcement.
Because APD represented that they were there on behalf of code enforcement.
So more than likely that was the license and permit division, who's also identified as code enforcement in this case. I without having the address and without having the specifics.
Well, it was the Morris Cafe. It's been there in Kirkwood since the 1960s.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they've been there, family-owned mom and pop business since 62, 63.
So I'm familiar with that. So we were out there. So I'm not certain how the complaint came to our office. So licensed and
no one is.
No one is certain. Well, I will say I saw some photographs of it. So there were several junk vehicles on the property that were placarded. I know the officer was back out there on Thursday, and I think all but maybe 2 had been removed. There was a lot of debris that was behind that building. I think there's a house on Hosea L. Williams. So the trash was between that building and that house. So I believe the owner has moved a lot, if not all of the debris to the street. Now, this was as of last Thursday. So again, I'm not certain how the complaint came into our office, but I know the officers were out there, I think initially maybe 2 weeks ago, and then again on last Thursday, I do believe. And he met the property owner actually on site to discuss what needed to be done.
Yeah, the code enforcement guy came out after APD came out that Saturday night.
Okay.
And APD, when they were out there, they didn't share any citations. They didn't really even answer any questions. They just shut down what was going on.
Okay.
And said they were there for code enforcement.
Okay. Well, I don't have the specifics, so I really don't want to speak to it. Again, I was aware of it last week on Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope if you could look into it and reach out to me, I would appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you. I withdraw, Madam Chair.
Thank you. The Honorable the Honorable Ishay Collins, followed by the Honorable Vice Chair Dustin Hillis.
Thank you. Many of my questions were answered just based on the dialogue we just had. I just had one general question for understanding. So on slide 4, where you talk about the top 5 districts with the highest inspections, how many of those are actually occupied by someone, and how many of those are actually, vacant homes or property that just been reported by constituents?
So I don't have that information in front of me. I can say, as you noted, several of the apartment complexes that the Safe and Secure Housing Initiative inspected are located in these districts. So these are definitely going to be tenant-occupied properties. I don't know if I'll be able to break it out because a lot of times we don't know if it's owner-occupied, until we come to court, and our database is not going to allow us to provide that information. I can probably come close to it, but I won't be able to get you an exact on tenant versus owner occupied.
Not even tenant versus owner occupied of these homes actually occupied.
Occupied versus vacant.
Period.
Okay,
Yes,
gotcha.
yes. That'd be great, because the reason why, I mean, if we look at the top districts, District 3, 9, 10, 11, and 12, and what we look at the activity of what we're experiencing in the city and what our community members are telling us, a lot of these areas are being targeted in terms of housing and property pieces. So just curious to know how many of these homes are actually occupied and how many are actually vacant. Yeah, that'll be great. And then my second question to this is just understanding as well, how does the blight tax fit into this, into your overall strategy and process?
So what I can say about the blight tax is our process is not impacted at all. If anything, it's going to help. So our role is to provide any necessary information, any code violations that we have on a particular property for that process, but it does not impact what we do as a section.
Right. Yeah, I would have just let my last question just following up. So on the Safe and Secure Housing Initiative slide where you used 1240 Oakland Drive as an example, and part of the update said it consented to liability and fines of $92,000. Are those just the accrual of fines that was collected? Did that part of that was any of the blight tax?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
They were all related to the citations that were issued to that property owner.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's all my questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you. The Honorable Vice Chair Dustin Hillis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Director Talley. First, just some general questions. Where are we with staffing and vacancies in your department?
So today we have 25 code enforcement officers. We had someone resign that was a part of the Safe and Secure Housing Initiative, I believe this past August. So there are 6 positions, code enforcement officer positions, that we are trying to fill. Of course, with the new process, we have to go before the Vacancy Review Board to get approved for those positions. So we will be requesting for 6 positions this month to fill those positions.
Those are all inspection officers? Or?
Code enforcement officers, yes.
Before I get into a few specifics, also generally, and this is not at you and your department or your division of your department, or the department. But as you know, I've been watching the code enforcement process for a few years now. What brought me into the city. But someone in the city made a decision who has dual reporting requirements to basically abandon the administrative in-rem process, and only told us after the fact that she had made that decision. But I'll leave that there. The reason I bring that up is if you still had administrative in-rem as an option, you know, I know I got onto you a few times also about, we had to cancel administrative in-rem hearings, but if we had all 12 of them, and let's say y'all only issued 10 demolition orders at each one of those, ideally, in my world, 20, that'd be either 120 or 240 a year. You look back at the FY25 data, since we have at least partially migrated to this process, there's only been 44 if you count only the demolitions, or 67 if you count the other, the cleaning closes and the cleaning cuts. So I guess I'm just saying that just to vent, because we have a lot of issues as you demonstrated in my district, Councilmember Amos's district, Councilmember Lewis's district, Councilmember Boone, Councilmember Overstreet's district. So I'll leave that there. I don't know how y'all are adjusting and coping to try to get more and more pushed through, but I mean, that's all you can do, because then it just goes and sets the solicitor's office and has to go through the court process. So are you looking to, at least on your end of the spectrum, are you looking to change any processes or do any more hiring, et cetera, to make sure your end is shored up?
So I believe recently, I'm not sure if a contract has been signed, but some of the holdup with the solicitor's office, as you know, judicial interim proceedings require a certified building inspector. And so we had a hard time hiring someone over in code enforcement, and they ran into the same problem. But I believe we have a fix, and I think we're going to be moving forward. I'm not certain how many they're going to file per week or per month. I've been told maybe 12 a month. It could be more. We've also worked with them being the solicitor's office, to prioritize. We have a lot of properties that are burned throughout the city. And so we sent a list of our top 10 that we're requesting that, as soon as a contract is executed, that they begin with with the top 10 that we have. And then we will look at the others that we've submitted. As I've stated, a couple, or 7 actually, before we even sent over to their office, owners have come forward and demolished those properties on their own. So we're just trying to make sure that as the cases come over to compliance resolution in our office, that our staff go out and look at them, make sure that they are demolition candidates, and we're going to submit those cases over to the solicitor's office as soon as we can.
Well, as you know, I love lists. I've sent you many of those.
And actually, you should have a list.
I didn't see one. I said I would be interested in seeing.
Yeah, so there is a list that we provided. I'm not sure if you guys received it, but it actually includes the demolitions that we did execute through administrative interim proceedings, and also the 63 cases that we're referring to that was transferred over to the solicitor's office. So yeah, so you guys should have a copy of that.
So I will look for that, but also, would you be interested in doing kind of a district-specific list, especially for those, I think, the top 5 council districts
Sure.
add on your list?
Sure.
Just so we can be informed and know that it's in the process, and show our constituents that. But moving on from that, and a few specific ones that I have sent your way recently, there were 2 on Bernard, 2252. Looks like it missed an 827 reinspection.
2252?
Yes, ma'am, Bernard.
Okay.
And then this house is so covered up in kudzu, you can't really tell there's a house there, but it's 2062 Louise Place. I'm sure there has been some behind the scenes, but at least in the cellar, there's not really been any movement since 2022.
Okay.
1601 Hollywood Road. It's a vacant lot with some junk, trash, and debris, and a trailer that's been there for many years. There was a 821 follow-up action that still shows as pending. And then also can't really tell where 2647 Browntown Road is right now. It FTA'd back in 2022, and I believe it might have been referred to clean and cut, but just looking at that, and that kind of brings me to my last point, as I drive by 2 of these multiple times a day, going to and from my house, no matter how far or long I'm going, because one's right next to my house, or almost next to my house. But just as the police chief was up here talking about repeat offenders, we have properties in this city, or I feel bad because I send them to you once a year, even though I could probably send them to you every 2 to 3 months. Just, putting it through the process, FTA, let's clean and cut it. Okay, well, it's summer again. Let's clean and cut it again. So how do we get those properties out of this continuation of just doing people's dirty work for them and not holding them accountable?
So a lot of the properties that are added to the clean and cut list, these properties are abandoned. And so, of course, each time the city goes out and perform any type of abatement work, we file a lien. And, it is our goal that, the city will look at foreclosing on those liens at some point and taking over that vacant lot, because that is the issue that we've had for quite some time. The first issue was the budget. We didn't have a budget to go out and abate these properties. And I believe you were here, or most of you were here when we were working closely with the jail. The Department of Corrections would send inmates out to these vacant lots and clean and cut. And so we don't have that as much as we used to. I can reach out to Chief Dancy, and if he has the resources, they will. But in most cases, we're spending public dollars to go out and clean up these properties. So it is our hope so that we are not, going out, to clean up vacant properties that we've demolished. I think we did 3 last week that we demolished in 23. But, we attempted to hold the homeowner accountable by sending out a notice. They failed to comply or to respond. And so we came back, or we had to go back out and clean that property, which again resulted in another lien. So.
Well, thank you for that. I'll look forward to the updates and the top 10 or dirty dozen, as what I used to say. I used to make dirty dozen less.
Okay. So if you look at this first, and because we do have it by district, and then if something else is on your radar, send us an email. Thank you.
Lastly, how many more years we got you for? You've been at this for a little while.
I don't know.
Not to put you on the spot or anything.
I don't know. I love my job. I love my job, and I work with a great team behind me.
Appreciate you and Inspector English and the captain and all y'all on the team.
Thank you all so much. And
thank you.
Your speedy responsiveness, getting all of this grass cut and getting all of these closures done in a very timely manner. The MPUs seem to really feel good about you all right now. So thank you all so much. And now the Honorable Antonio Lewis.
I want to say thank you for having a staffer come out to the meeting in Polo Rock last week. Very informative.
Good.
It's super helpful, and I look forward to what we're going to be doing next. There were some ideas that were thrown out from your team that were just extremely innovative. So I appreciate what you all doing on the south side of the city. We have to continue to do the work on the south side of the city. As you see, we have tires being thrown all around our district. Macon Drive has the encampment. The Macon Drive encampment is back across the street from the fire station. And so I'm looking to see if we can reach out to that owner to ask if they can put up a fence around their location, or to see if they can do more to help us.
23 Cleveland? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Gotcha.
Heartland Station on Metropolitan Parkway. There's some apartments on Metropolitan Parkway behind Lakewood Diner, Heartland Station.
Heartland, okay.
We want to do some, if there's any kind of way we can work with them on a houselessness issue that they have next door, but more than just houselessness issue, there's an encampment next door that's on a property. So if we can reach out to that property owner and try to start getting them to take better care of their property, because we have people that are living there right now. Those are the 2 things that I actually had in my district right now. And lastly, when I look at the page 4 that shows the top 5 districts with the highest inspections, and I see District 12, number 3 with 779, I've literally stood at a house with our with our code enforcement officer in District 12, and we were looking at a home that was owner occupied, that someone was calling code enforcement on them for paint, and she had just paid to get her house painted. Now, it might not have been the best paint job in the world because of funding, but in the Adair Park and in the Pittsburgh community, that's where it's happening the most in my area. And that was actually in a person who, they own 4 homes in that community. That family owns 4 homes. That's the daughter lives there, the mother lives there, and the grandfather, he bought those homes. So if we can look into the owner-occupied homes in our area that people are calling code enforcement on, you can actually separate that to get that to us so we can see what we can help them out a little bit more, because we do have a program in District 12 in certain areas that will fix up their homes with Habitat for Humanity. Atlanta Habitat has a program with they give it's a grant, $20,000, and the entire District 12 pretty much is a part of it. So we do have a way to help people.
Okay. And also just with, because we noticed that we do receive a lot of complaints for flaking and peeling paint. And what the code says is that they're required to have some type of protective coating. So even if the paint is chipping, but there is protective coating, they are within code. So.
And to be more specific, the house next door was not occupied, and it was worse. And so to see this family, to see this person who has this beautiful yard, I know she loves her yard because of the things that she has in it. And when I walk to her backyard, she actually uses the tires to put plants in them. And so to see her use that and have people call the police, call code enforcement on her is horrible to me. And it's not just a one-off in my district, but it's happening mainly in the Pittsburgh and that Dare Park community.
Gotcha. Okay. And also, Madam Chair, Brother Muhammad, I believe he was speaking about the dogs and.
Yes, that's really very serious. We have had so many children mauled and injured by dogs. We have to take this very serious. When someone tells him to call 911, that needs to be handled before that. So any help that you all can give him and his community, even down to the cars parking on the sidewalk, that's just not being respectful to neighbors. So we really would appreciate if you all would take the time to meet with him, someone do a site visit, call Fulton County, and let them know we want to get a handle on the dogs.
Right. So that I wanted to report out. We were on that email because he did send an email, and so we did forward the complaint regarding the dogs to Fulton County Animal Control, and then parking on the sidewalk, we did forward that to the Department of Public Works. So that was done, I believe, last Thursday as well.
Okay. Would that be Public Works or ADOT?
Well, in the past, I've called the Department of Public Works, and they've responded.
Okay.
They're parking on the sidewalk.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The Honorable Antonio Lewis.
Dogs. Every morning I get chased by a dog when I'm going to South Atlanta High School in my run. And if there's any kind of help, because this same dog has now bit someone else's dog, I could handle it. But if there's any kind of way on Hutchins Road between Catamarik and South Atlanta High School, there are two pit bulls, and you know in my district there are normally pit bulls that are running around, two pit bulls that are free. And I have a dog spray now. I never want to use it. I never have used it, but every morning
and this is Hutchins Road between.
I got video of me running from the dog sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, we can report it to Fulton County Animal Control, but you said Hutchins Road between
South Atlanta and Catamarik. South Atlanta High School in Catamarik. And he owns that space.
Okay. Okay.
Is that it, council member? Please look into that as well. Also, on Bakers Ferry Road, right before you get to Carnell Boulevard, if you're traveling down Bakers Ferry Road on the right-hand side, a home was burned down about 6 months ago, and some of it's partially still there. Is there any way we could get that boarded up so that it could be made safe for the community?
I'll look and see if we have a complaint, and of course, before we can touch a house, it has to go through some type of formal process, but we'll take a look at it.
Thank you, and I can give you the address today.
Okay.
Thank you very much for doing a great job. Thank you so much for educating the community, attending those NPU meetings as well, and having information for the community. Are there any more questions? Again, thank you for this very well done presentation.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Overton, we're going to call on the Atlanta Citizens Review Board right now. Mr. Lee Reed and his team, come right on up. How you doing, Mr. Reed?
I'm good. I'm good, thank you. Good afternoon. Lee Reed, Executive Director, Atlanta Citizens Review Board.
Good to be in front of the committee again. Thank you. Before I get started on the third quarter report, I want to introduce Deputy Director Sheena Robertson over investigations. She'll be talking about the investigative data, and Deputy Director Milo Smith will be talking about the other activities that we've done since June through July. Since January through June. And we have our board chair, Mr. Kelvin Williams, who has attended the meeting today, and if it is okay, he'd just like to make a couple of quick comments.
Welcome.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair and fellow council members. Just want to come by and say thank you so much for the support that you've given the ACRB in ensuring that they get the needed resources that was needed for its funding for the additional positions that was needed. As the chair, I represent NPUs A through F. I reside in the Buckhead Heights community, and I've come to learn the challenges that the ACRB has, and what they have. And I just wanted to stop by and just say thank you again for your support, and please continue to support the ACRB because it is a very challenging job that we have. But with your support and working with Chief Sheriff and the APD and the support of the Mayor's strategic team, we can make the ACRB a success. So thank you.
Well, we think that it is a success, and you all have made great strides over the past 6 months. And we just look forward to hearing from Mr. Reed. We see him out and about in the community as well, and we do see a lot of improvement. And we want to make sure that the Atlanta Citizens Review Board works for the citizens. We assure you of that.
All right,
so,
thank you,
Mr.
Madam Chair.
Reed, carry on. Thank you.
I'm going to start the report with some highlights of where we are since June through July. Oh, okay. So as many of you know, we entered the MOU with the Atlanta Police Department related to the officer-involved shootings. That MOU has been signed, and we had an implementation meeting for the MOU last week. And we're moving forward with that, looking for success. During that meeting, we ironed out the details of the implementation of the MOU. We identified responsible parties, established meeting dates, reviewed some reporting forms that we're going to be using for the monthly reports. We also reviewed the APD policy that includes the MOU in that policy to ensure that we will have compliance. And we discussed training for APD staff so that they understand their responsibilities under the MOU. Also, speaking to what Chair Williams had mentioned, we hired 2 new investigators. They'll be starting September 11th. These investigators have extensive experience in law enforcement, working in law enforcement, and also doing investigations in law enforcement. So we're excited about that. We have 2 more that we'll need to fill, and our goal is to have those positions filled before the end of the year. That'll take us to our total of 6, so we'll be adequately prepared to handle anything that comes our way. Related to that, we have spatial innovations that will be required that we've been speaking with Dean about. We need to reconfigure the space to be able to add the additional personnel so that we all can be working together in an environment that will support the work that we do. We reviewed plans that they submitted to us. They understand the urgency of it, and so we're looking forward to being able to get that done. At this point, I'd like to invite Deputy Director Sheena Robertson to come up and start speaking about the complaint data.
Thank you, Director Reed, and good afternoon, everyone. Go to slide 8. The complaint data covers the first 6 months of 2025. It was January through June, and slide 8 shows that at the end of June, the agency had received 152 complaints, which is an 83% increase of the complaints that we received at the same time at the end of June of last year. 58 of those complaints were assigned for full investigation, which is also a 38% increase from those complaints that had been assigned at the end of last year. 74 of the complaints were dismissed, and the majority of those dismissals were because the subject officers were not employed by the Atlanta Police or Corrections, but were employed by outside law enforcement agencies. 18 of the complaints, we are still waiting for the complainants to provide more information in order for us to determine whether or not to assign those for a full investigation or to ultimately dismiss those. And 2 of the complaints, we are needing more information, and I misspoke, I'm sorry, 18 of the complaints, we're waiting for the complainants to provide their signed complaints before we can move forward. And then 2 of the complaints, we have the signed complaint, but we are pending more information from the complainant to determine whether or not we're to move forward with an investigation or dismiss it. Zones 1, 3, and 5 received 68% of the complaints, and council districts 2, 4, and 12 received 53% of those complaints. And at the end of June, the agency had 166 open investigations. Some of those are from the previous year. We've closed up 20 investigations, and the agency's investigative timeline averaged around 210 days. So for the past few years, the complaints received and assigned to a full investigation have significantly increased. And due to our shortage of investigators, we have been struggling a bit. But now, thanks to the council, for giving the agency the authority to hire the investigator at a higher rate, and also providing us with 2 more investigator positions, we are very hopeful that we will be in a better position to handle the increased caseload and work on resolving our current case backlog, especially with the 2 new investigators that will be starting on Thursday. Later this week, I believe we will be in a better position in achieving that. Slide 9 represents our top 3 allegations. The first one is appropriate action required, which consists of allegations involving unlawful performance of duties, false arrest, and inadequate investigation and inadequate service. That is followed by false imprisonment, which consists of allegations involving illegal stops and detainments, which mostly involving traffic stops. And lastly, our conduct allegations, and that's involving like discourteous behavior, unprofessionalism, inappropriate comments, et cetera. And at the end of June, the APD have notified the agency of 1 officer-involved shooting that occurred in Zones 3 and Council District 12, and 1 in custody death that occurred in Zone 3 and in Council District 1. Slide 10 represents the board's activities during this time period. And the board held 5 public meetings, which are held the 2nd Thursday of each month, and 2 complaint panel review meetings. And the purpose of those meetings are also, which are also public meetings, is to review completed complaint investigations. The board reviewed and made determinations on 12 completed investigations, which consisted of a total of 31 allegations, and all of them involved Atlanta Police Department, and 39% of those allegations were sustained, meaning that the investigation determined that there was sufficient evidence that the officer committed the alleged act of misconduct. The APD agreed to 50% of the board's sustained allegations. However, 5 of the sustained allegations were pending a final determination from the APD, so that number may either increase or decrease, depending on the decision. And 1 of the sustained allegations they did not address. And at the end of the period, 7 completed investigations were awaiting the board's determination. I will then hand it over to Ms. Smith, who will provide the agency community engagement highlights.
Thank you, Ms. Robertson. Good afternoon, council members. My name is Myola Smith, and I'm a deputy director. My portion of this presentation will start with slide number 11. If I get this right. Okay, thank you. Slide number 11. I wish to briefly share some community engagement highlights for the first 6 months of this year. Slide number 12. Slide number 12 consists of all of our community engagement highlights. For the past 11 years, we started the year off with the Martin Luther King March and Rally, where our staff and families, board members, and volunteers participated. From January through June, ACRB participated in a total of 21 events. Of course, our main event for the first 2 quarters of 25 was the culmination of the 2025 Art, Essay, and Verbal Expression Contest. The next 3 slides are about youth-focused activities. Slide number 13. While we'll always be about the town, this year, however, we plan to focus more attention on youth, education, safety, and helping both youth and adults understand proper police interaction. When it comes to direct community engagement, we're mixing some of the annual flagship activities with some new activities. Hopefully that will generate more engagement in the community. Some of our flagship activities have been the Jazz Festival, and we're monthly at Greenbrier Mall, Camp Best Friends, Juneteenth, and of course, even though it's not part of this first 6 months, we have participated in National Night Out since we've been established. And this year, we participated in 5 different communities. The agency also participated in Camp Best Friends, featuring our Justice Crusader, and that's our ACRB mascot. Summer reading program at Wolf Creek Library, and of course, the 2025 Art Essay Contest, which was the highlight of the year for us. I am pleased to report that the 2025 contest was the largest contest ever, producing 413 entries and 28 winners. The next slide, 14, is still in reference to the contest. The contest theme, My Dream for a Just World, One City, One Team, Citizens and Police Working Together. The winners were honored with a reception, lunch, awarded prizes, and received recognition from the City Council. A very special and grateful thank you to Council Member Jason Winston, District 1, and Councilmember Antonio Lewis, District 12, for recognizing the importance of this contest. Thank you very much. On behalf of the ACRB staff, thank you for presenting these gifted young artists, presenting them before the members of the council and the city, and for preparing proclamations for the schools with the most entries and had the most support from the schools officials and the schools that were most spirited. Thank you all, council members and city council staff who played a part in the success of this event. The contest takes place every other year, so the next time we announce winners for this contest will be in 2027. Slide number 15 is there are pictures of our Justice Crusader, our mascot, and the kids love the mascot. They were a big hit at Camp Best Friends and other places. So I'm sure you've probably seen our mascot around, and you'll be seeing more of him. Let's see, and the information that the mascot provides to the children is very age appropriate. But you can tell by the smiles on their faces from all of these photographs that they're not only learning, but they're also seem to be enjoying themselves. Now, slide number 16 is about the board. The board of 15 seats is 1 seat shy of full capacity. The vacant seat is one of 2 seats that were designated for youth. 2 seats, we have 2 expiring terms, and those seats have appointments from the League of Women Voters and Gate City Bar Association. Slide number 17, as I mentioned earlier, we plan to focus more on helping youth, adults understand their constitutional rights, recognizing the limits of police authority, and knowing how to handle encounters when officers who may be behaving inappropriately. To schedule police interaction training, call the ACRB at 404-865-8622. The last slide, slide 18, is just how to contact us. We're here right at City Hall, of course, in Suite 1225. Our phone number is the one that I just said. And we invite you to visit our website at acrbgov.org and check out us on all the social media platforms. Thank you, council members, for your time, and now I'll turn it back over to Mr. Reed.
Thank you, Directors Robertson and Smith. This would conclude our report. Of course, I'll take any questions that you may have related to the information that we shared today.
Yes, Mr. Reed, the Honorable Antonio Lewis.
And thank you, Mr. Reed, and the entire team. So super happy to see that you were able to increase your staff, because we do know some of the work that you have to do. And also happy to see the the activity from District 12 and Zone 3 being a part of this. The top three, happy to see. Not happy to see, because it means that we're actually complaining now. And it's because of the work that we've been able to do out in the community. To see District 12 in the same areas as 2 and 4, because we're actually talking about the things that are happening. We know historically in black communities, things happen to us, and the police were allowed to have a little bit more fun in our community with us, and we didn't talk about it. I do know our district right now, our current Major Wolford, we love him, we love working with him, we love working with him and you together to create a true community where, as you heard our police chief today talk about, we're not locking our way up out of these situations, we're providing more resources. I think one of the major resources that you could tell by the amount of complaints coming from District 12 has been you. And so my colleagues and what we've been able to do is pass out that card. Yes. All throughout District 12, it's at all our rec centers, it's at all of our churches. And so I truly appreciate you all for coming out into our district and doing this extra work to make sure we're doing it right. And I'm thinking about also, because of Oscar Kane and Rayshard Brooks. I know Oscar Kane was my friend. I grew up together. We used to walk to school together. I used to literally knock on his door to make sure he made it to school with me. I know what happened to him on my birthday night right here in the city of Atlanta on Metropolitan Parkway. And so year after that, 2 years later, Rayshard Brooks, whose brother was my friend, Raymond, I seen his brother this weekend at the gas station on Jonesboro Road and Conley Road. But Rayshard Brooks, those are my friends, and we didn't know things that happened. And to not see it happening in District 12 right now isn't amazing. So thank you so much for your work, and please continue to stay out into my area, making sure people know their rights, because a dangerous man is a man who knows their rights. So thank you again.
Thank you.
And also, thank you for what you all did in Greenbrier Mall, going out into the community. Continue to go to those recreation centers, leaving cards. Leave the council members some of those postcards so that folks will know. Stay on Cable 26, as you have done advertising, as you all go in and out of the communities. But please continue to listen to the MPUs as well. We really appreciate what you all do.
Yes.
Do we have any more questions or concerns? The Honorable Antonio Lewis.
I also want to say part of the work, part of you being in our district was the reason we had the uptick in students actually applying for the RSA. And so have to be a part of that. And I always tell Councilmember Winston that the students that won in his area all
go to school in his area and they're getting the same resources that anybody in District 12 would get. The students that didn't win in this area, they weren't getting those resources. So super happy that our young folks know their rights. They're gonna grow up. They're gonna grow up knowing this stuff. So super happy to have this organization in the city of Atlanta being intentional. Thank you.
Any more questions or concerns from the body? Mr. Overton?
That'll be all, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that very well done presentation, and we still would like to meet with the chair at you all's convenience. Again, thank you all for your service. This meeting is adjourned.